Okay. So hello everyone. We are officially starting the first class, as we have already mentioned, and the syllabus might have been shared with you. Is going to be a pretty basic course. So for 2 hours, I will need your utmost attention as much as possible. But we'll have these conversations in between so that you don't get burnout during the session. Um, we have a few things to talk about that I'll mention right now so that in case I forget after the session, you guys should remind me about it. So first thing will be like I will need a few TAs since we already had nominations, right? If there's someone else also who wants to learn but also would like to manage the community, we can have teams because then it gets easy for you guys to interact and solve your doubts among yourselves if the team is not available or so. You don't have to be completely dependent on me or the team because you have Google, you have ChatGPT, you can learn it, you can look for the doubts. I'm here to like make things simple for you so that you don't have to go through like everything on your own. So that is one thing. Secondly is we will be doing a lot of assignments. So I already have a few set of assignments, but if there's anyone else who would like to come up with suggestions when we do a particular topic, or think that while you were learning JavaScript, if you have, this was something that helped you, or this particular question or a particular type of assignment could have helped, it would be great to give those suggestions. We will be putting deadlines for assignment for every Saturday. So even though you're taking a class on Monday, so we'll mostly have this on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay. So even if it's a Monday class or Wednesday class or Friday class, the final assignment has to be submitted on Saturday because I believe Sundays are for personal introspection. So you can take your time off from learning and stuff and just have a recap about the because it is pretty important, not just for your professional stuff but also for your personal stuff and mental well-being. That is what I started doing. A lot of people put a lot of work during the weekends, but that's a bad thing. You should always have some time for introspection. So every Saturday will be the deadline. You should try to submit assignments and stuff. You can do it early, you can do it on time, but it should be before time because we are not gonna consider late submissions. That is what I believe, until and unless you have like a pretty valid reason. And yeah, we have not yet decided what happens if you miss a lot of assignments or miss a lot of classes just because you have access to recordings. But we will brainstorm on that later. Okay. We will be using mostly Visual Studio Code. So that is where I am most comfortable in because it gets pretty easy when you're doing multiple files instead of using any online coding platforms like REPL, anything. So everyone should have a Visual Studio Code installed in their laptops. Make sure that you have a JavaScript extension that basically beautifies your code and you'll be able to find bugs easily because you know which line is throwing error, and all the functions and the loops, etc., are highlighted in different colors so it look good and also keeps your interest in the code. So and the most important thing, this is not just going to be me talking for the next 2 hours. It has to be like both ways. So I would be more than happy if you guys keep interrupting me with anything, questions or stuff. But like we might take questions at the end of the session, but if I ask a question, you should be apt with the answers. Even if you don't know it, whatever you know, you should talk to me, because if I just keep blabbering in front of a computer screen, that makes no sense. Okay, so we will start, and all of you should keep your water bottles ready because you will need to stay hydrated for the next 2 hours. Okay, so as we know that
Sorry, Sneha. It seems like we can hear you clearly. It seems like some of the folks cannot have are having some audio issues. Okay, I'll figure that out. Let's go ahead. Let's get started.
Okay, okay. Fine. So as I was saying that over 6 weeks, we are going to learn JavaScript and Solidity both. Okay. Why did we choose JavaScript and not some other language? Okay, so that is the first question. So we know all of us come from either computer science backgrounds or AI, ML, but we are aware about these various programming language because that is something that we have been taught even during our schools, right? So every programming language brings something new on the table. Okay, if C++ brings certain functionalities, if Java also brought the same functionalities, there was no point having two languages, right? But all of these programming languages are built in different ways and they bring something new to the table. But JavaScript brings it all. If you are working on the front end side, be it the client side, be it the server side, JavaScript is everywhere. You can integrate it with front end, you can do your back end stuff. Even Web3, we have so many libraries that are particularly built with JavaScript because they are there to make our work easy. Okay, so that is why it is important for you to know JavaScript. A lot of projects that you even do during Web3, you will see that when you're deploying a contract and you write a deployment script or anything, if you're trying to integrate maybe a protocol or any apps or whatever, their SDKs, their APIs, all of it has involvement of JavaScript. You can do it very easily with JavaScript, and it's like a language that is that has got a lot of lovers but also got a lot of haters, because as much as you start getting into it, it gets complicated. But for the next, I think, 6 days, we'll have like almost 12 hours of class. In that, you will be, even though you don't know JavaScript, you will be able to understand any JavaScript line of code that you will encounter during in a Web3 project or anywhere. So, like, now I'm not saying that you can get into like proper running server and stuff. No, whatever implementations that you have in the front end or back end the stuff, you will be able to understand it properly, and this process is already experimented on a 14-year-old. So yeah, that is why I am too confident. Okay, and she had no programming background. Since you guys have programming background, it's gonna be easier for you. Okay, so let's start. So a few basic stuffs, we have already talked about JavaScript, that why are we using it. So it is also so anybody in the crowd who can tell me what kind of language is JavaScript actually is it a compile based language or is it a interpreter based language, and what is the difference between a compiler and an interpreter? Guys, speak up. Since you guys are sitting behind the screen, you can also Google and tell me the answers. There's no issues in that, but you got to speak up. Okay. Huh. Yeah. Interpreted languages. Okay. Yeah. So JavaScript is an interpreted language. Okay. Someone who can tell me, or even Sairama, you can tell. Can you tell me the difference between a compiler language and an interpreted language? Interpreted goes line by line, compiler is compiled all at once. Yes, good. Okay, so yes, JavaScript is an interpreted language, and as people have already written in the chat, that for compiler-based languages, those languages all will be compiled at once. So before they are put for execution, or they need to be converted into a certain machine understandable form. So in short terms, it needs to be compiled before it is run. Okay, so JavaScript here is interpreted languages, and most of the browsers will have this JavaScript extension that translates the JavaScript code for whatever purpose it is required in the browser. So it is also said that JavaScript is a translated language as well. Same thing. JavaScript is used for dynamic inputs, checking for scrolls, window clicks, and helps change the underlying HTML. Okay. Okay, this seems like a Google answer, but yeah, good effort. So yeah, it's used in like a lot of stuff. Okay, you can build web application, you can work on the front end of a web development, you can build mobile application, you can do game development. If you see on the server side, you can work with web servers. There's client side validation as well. A lot of jargon terms. Okay, but the point is that you should know where and how is it used. That is more important, because nobody is gonna ask you that why did you learn JavaScript or what are the applications of JavaScript. They definitely gonna throw you a piece of code and ask you to like work on it or so. So basic idea is one other thing is that people do a lot of errors while they are writing code is JavaScript is case sensitive. They forget that JavaScript is case sensitive. There are so many languages that are not. So it gets like pretty confusing. I used to do like similar mistakes. So you should, okay, JavaScript gives life to the web pages. Yes, it does. Okay. So it is case sensitive and it's pretty simple. Okay, it's like it will follow a Unicode character set that it's like whatever you have, whatever languages we're using across the globe, you pick any word out and you can declare it as a variable name. Okay, so there are like no constraints as such. So even that is a good thing when you are working with such a language. So that's like basic JavaScript and its history and introduction. Uh, can someone tell me that what is the first thing that people actually find when you start learning C++ or a Java language or a new language? What would be the yeah. Okay, yeah. So syntax is there, obviously, but even comments are given a lot of attention because as a developer or as someone who is, coding, you should know how to read your code, even if it has been 6 months since you did the project. Okay, and suppose you are a part of the company and you move out, so if you have done some work on the code base, the other person who's coming should be able to understand what you've done in your code. So as a developer, it is very important that you write proper comment so that you can keep in mind that, okay, this is the particular thing that I implemented here, or here there was an exception, or this is the particular functionality or whatsoever. Okay. So we generally do single line comment, multi-line comment and stuff. So the single line and multi-line stays the same. You will use double slash for single line comment. I can use one word, but it takes like a lot of time. So I'll write some basic stuffs just like that. So that because these are just to be, looked into. So these goes for multi-line comment. So make sure that once you are doing a project, you always remember how to write the comments and stuff. Okay. Now we will come to data types, variable declarations, and other stuffs. Okay, like get into the real JavaScript. So anybody who can tell me how many types of how many data types are actually present in JavaScript? Five. Guys, you can speak up, like uh, unmute yourself and do it. It's pretty difficult for me to look at the chats. and then see, wait for the response. Some people will reply late and stuff.
String, number, boolean, object, code.
String, number, boolean, object.
Symbol. Null and undefined. Ma'am, string.
Okay. Yeah, some kids are also learning JavaScript with us. That's good. Okay. So generally, when we talk about data types, yeah, so there are two. Exactly. So there are primitive or non-primitive, that is a reference data type. So now what does it actually mean? So primitive data types are like original data types. Okay, they are one of a kind. Okay, but when you talk about non-primitive or reference data type, you can refer to data types that have come out from these or have derived from these primitive data types. Okay, so when you talk about primitive data types, most of these languages will have similar data types, that will be string, number, boolean, stuff like that. But when you talk about reference or non-primitive data type, it can be object, it can be array, it can be regular expression, and all of that stuff. Okay, so that is one basic stuff that you should know, because sometimes you might come across situations where you don't even know that talking about a particular data type, what is it that we're using inside it. Once we get deeper, you will realize that, okay, fine, it can have homogeneous values, it can have heterogeneous values. So you should know that where is it coming from. You should know the why, where, and how, what stuff of everything that you're learning, so that you're able to relate. Even if you are given a problem that is pretty new, you should be able to go to its root and figure out stuff. Okay. So we will, so I hope everyone is aware about the number, boolean, string, and all of these data types. And you must have also heard about arrays and objects and all of that stuff. We'll get deeper into it, but we will be talking more through it once we start coding into it, and then we'll go forward with it. Okay. The other good thing about JavaScript is it is a dynamically typed language. Okay. So once you are declaring a variable, okay, in a lot of languages, you will see that it is referred as int sum equals to 0. Suppose you're initializing a variable name called sum, which is of integer type. So you're specifying the data type. But in JavaScript, this is not the case. It's a dynamically typed variable language where you don't even have to specify what data type is the variable supposed to be. You just have to tell the computer that, okay, this is going to be a variable. Now for that, we're using two keywords. Either we will use let keyword or we will use var keyword. Okay. And once we're talking about constants, like obviously everyone knows the difference between variable and constants. The constants values won't change throughout the program. Variables value might change during the program. So for constant, we will use const keyword, but when we are declaring variables, we will either use let or we will use var. Okay, nothing else is to be specified. So in order to actually do a variable declaration, you can just write var sum equals to 0. Okay, so that is all you need. You don't need to specify that, okay, sum has to be an integer, sum has to be a decimal, nothing like that. Okay, now since we are already talking about this statement, one thing that is to be remembered and that can cause a lot of bugs in your code is missing semicolon. Okay, so for every particular statement, we are writing a semicolon at the end of the line to show that, okay, this is the termination point. Okay, so you complete a statement and you put a semicolon. Generally what happens is, if it's a one line statement, you might not necessarily need a semicolon, but when you're writing multi-line statements like loops and other stuff, it is very, very important to specify semicolons. But even if you're writing a single line, I would recommend to give semicolons, because you just don't know, right? Because you're not in a practice and you're always looking for single and multi-line stuff and then putting a semicolon, you'll come across so many errors and it takes hours to figure out that error. Like, we keep our minds focused on, okay, this might be the error, this is the issue, that is the issue, and in the end, after 6 hours of searching, you will realize, oh shit, it was a missing semicolon. So it has happened with me. That is why I always suggest people that it's a silly thing, but yeah, it's like a really, really small thing, but you should always put semicolons when you're writing a JavaScript code. Okay, fine.
Hello, I have a
Yeah.
doubt here. Like in JavaScript, there is always no need to use semicolon, right? Like we can execute code without it as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That there are times when you don't need, the code might run without a semicolon. Okay, but it's exactly like the thing that if the error occurs, okay, if an error occurs and you're not able to figure out the error, you're thinking somewhere else, and you will realize that shit, here a semicolon was needed. So the compiler might throw an error because of that semicolon. So it is always important to take precautions before, rather than going through all that hassle.
Acha, okay, got it.
Okay, yeah, so that's one thing. Okay, next we will talk about operators. Let me see if I missed something. Okay, fine. So anybody who can tell me what are the operators available in JavaScript? Anyone in the chats?
Greater than, less than, equals to, greater than, equals to, less than, equals to, and then triple equals to.
No, there are more.
Arithmetic operators, assignment operators,
Acha,
Yes.
okay.
string operators, logical, bitwise,
Yeah, okay.
special operators.
Yeah, okay.
Comparison.
Hmm,
Bitwise
good.
operators.
Yes. So there are arithmetic operators, comparison operators, bitwise operators, logical operators, assignment operators, and special operators. So see, people generally know these stuffs, okay? But we always tend to forget that there might be categories inside. Like Garima answered, right? So she obviously knows, she has come across other stuffs. But when we talk about these little things in the classification and stuff, we'll always miss out some or the other important point. And why I stress on knowing all these basics is because I was asked a similar question during my interview. So the interviewer knew that I know stuffs, but he wanted to see if I've actually gone into basics, and or is it just like, oh, I don't give importance to basics and I'm like, oh bro, I can code like a pro, that's it. No, so you should always have a grip over the basics. You should know stuffs, because you just don't know, when such questions can actually come up to you, and you might just mess up and people will be like, oh, okay, she's not giving importance to basic stuff. Okay, fine, we'll have someone else. Someone else who would have answered even that segment would be considered like more. So you shouldn't give anyone else a chance to, let you go because of such little ignorances. Okay. So we don't have much to discuss when we talk about operators, but because it's a topic, I really wanted to bring it up and see how we go forward with it. We will be using it for multiple purposes. Arithmetic operators are pretty common. All the mathematical operations and stuff will be there. Relational operators, whenever you are establishing relation between two entities, you will be having relational operators coming in. Then we have bitwise operators. I have personally never liked bitwise operators because it always confuses me with the left shift, right shift. But we might come up with codes that will be using it. So once we come across, you will feel that, okay, yeah, this is important. Then we have logical, assignment, special. Okay, so we'll deal with all of these once we come across the code. Now, one of the major elements every time we're learning a new programming language is loops. Okay. So we will talk about if else, for loop, while loop, do while stuff, and we'll also be talking about if else statements and switch case and all of that, because that is where most of our basic code will revolve around. And I'll give you guys a few questions during the session, so that you can see how much you are comfortable with it, because it's all basics, right? There's so many people who already know that stuff, so it's better that you do a few hands-on during the session, so that even the session is interactive as well. So how many of you exactly know how an if else statement works? Like, if I ask you to just give me state an example for if else statement, okay, how will you specify it? Like, how will you give me that example?
If contains this condition, if the condition is true, the statement which is in if part that will be executed. If the condition is false, the compiler goes to the else condition, else statement. Actually, else doesn't have any condition.
Yeah, okay, good.
Example
So-
like checking even or odd numbers, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, so like they explained, right? So when we're talking about an if-else statement, it goes further with, if, else, if, nested if, and all of that stuff. But the basic ideology is that whenever you're using if-else, so if has to have a condition, okay, and there will be a statement as part of that body of the code. Okay, so if that particular condition is true, the pointer will move to the statement and that statement will be executed. It can be any kind of operation, or it can be like a basic return value, it can be a basic value, whatever it is. But that particular statement is to be executed. Okay. If that condition is false, then the pointer will come to else, and else will have no condition. So either the first condition that is specified with the if is true and the statement gets executed, or the other one will be given as out. Okay, like they mentioned that even and odd stuff is one prime example. So once you've already checked a condition that whether a number is even or odd, you don't need to specify another condition of it being odd, because there are only two options. It can either be even or it can either be odd. Okay, so in that case, you do if and give the value. Suppose you're checking for giving the condition for an even number, you do n modulus 2 equals to 0, print even, else print odd. So as we have seen that we've given a condition for even, but we're not specifying that condition odd, because it is by default understood. But if we have multiple cases arising, okay, that you see that either, suppose we're talking about a number being divisible by 3 and 5, 5 and 7, 7 and 9. So in that case, you'll have to give multiple options, that if the number blah 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 is divisible by 3 and 5, execute this. If it is divisible by 7 and 9, execute this. So in case of multiple conditions, you generally use that. Okay, a similar thing is done using switch statement as well. So I never personally understood why was there a need of switch statement if we were doing most of the works with if else. Like, as far as I have experience in programming, I have seen very few cases where people are actually using switch statements. Okay, but even switch statements works in a similar manner. In that, you will have like multiple cases. Okay, so that if it's a bit of complicated format, I would say. Okay, when it comes to writing switch, I personally like if else a lot. So you specify switch and give an expression, and then you start with case 1, case 2, case 3, whatever. Okay, when you're talking about multiples of a number and stuff. And after every case and the statement that is to be evaluated, you will have a break statement. So the thing is, you can't execute multiple cases. Okay. So once the particular case is true, you will break the statement and come out of the loop. Okay. If none of the cases that has been specified by you is true, it will print the default value. So there's already a default keyword present, and that particular block of code will be executed once the program knows that, okay, none of these cases were satisfied. So we might do I'll give you a code on switch case also. It's good to have a hands-on for that. Let me open the questions that I had for you guys. Okay, so okay, let's discuss first loop and then I'll give you this particular question. This question everybody gets stuck a lot. Okay, let's talk about loops first, then we will do the question. Okay, so people, those who have experience already, can anybody explain me all the 3 types of loops that we generally use in any programming language? Speak up.
Ma'am, hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Ma'am, it's for loop, do while loop, and while loop.
Okay, and can you give me like a quick explanation or a brief of all these 3?
Ma'am, like do while loop is an exit control loop, and while loop is an entry control loop, and for loop is like for iteration statement. In do while the statement will just minimum it will execute once, but in while loop it will not. Ma'am, do you need some example? Ma'am, this much only.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. So like he mentioned, right? So we'll talk about first about for loop. Okay. Now suppose I tell you, like artists used to give us that assignment. Sorry, not assignment. Punishment. Okay. So if you do something, like in my school, if someone did a mistake, okay, or they were talking in class, my teacher will ask them to write that I am sorry and I will no longer, talk in class or disturb the class, something like that. And they'll ask them to write it 100 times, even 200 times, right? So when you're doing it manually, you can't copy paste, right? When it's on paper, you can't just like cut, copy, paste, cut, copy, paste. You'll have to write every time, okay? But if that same punishment was given to that kid to do on a computer, it wouldn't have taken it would have taken just a few seconds. Why? Because what they can do is they can just run a for loop, okay, put conditions that I equals to 1, I less than equals to 100, and I plus plus. So these are the 3 segments, okay. I equals to 0 is where we are initializing the variable that we are using. In this case, I, it's like a universal variable that we're using in for loops or any kind of conditions when it comes to loop. Then there will be a condition to check how far the loop has to go. So if you're talking about I less than 100, that is the condition that has been specified to this particular loop. And then the third is when we're talking about incrementing or decrementing the variable. So obviously, if you do I plus plus, then the I value will go from 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, till the condition is correct. Okay. So these 3 are to be specified when it comes to for loop. And then what they can do is inside the for loop, they can just print a statement that, okay, I am sorry and I will not disturb the class anymore, and it will print 100 times on its own. Okay. So it would have been pretty easy. So whenever we talk about iterations and stuff, or we have to do one particular task multiple times, we generally use for loop. Then we're talking about while loop. Okay, so in while, what happens is we specify a condition. Okay, that condition will be checked first, and then the loop body will be executed. Okay, if the condition is false, okay, then the loop won't run at all. This is what Sapnil mentioned, okay, that it is an entry condition a loop, okay. So you are checking the condition first, and then you are entering the content or body of the loop, the code, and then you execute it. Whereas in do while, what happens is the loop will at least run once, and then it will check the condition. So if the condition is false, then it will not execute further. So this was a pretty common question asked back in school or even in my first year of college. That is while versus do while. So that is one thing that you should know, that do while will definitely run once, even if the condition is true or false. And the further iterations of the loop or running of the loop will be decided on whatever condition has been specified and if it is correct or not. Okay. So these are the basic stuffs that we had to cover for today's session. Now I will basically give you 4 questions to do, but we'll discuss these questions like one by one, okay. So what you can do is, if anybody has once I put the question, you can take your time. Whosoever comes up with the solution first, you can share the screen and show us however the code is running and explain the code to everyone. So multiple people can do it if you have done it in a different way. Like we know that in order to write a piece of code or come up with a solution, there are multiple ways that you can do it. So similarly, in that way, if there's someone who has done it in a different manner, you guys can also share your screen and discuss the solution. So the first question is the fizz buzz question. Okay, so we have to create a for loop that iterates up to 100 while outputting fizz at multiples of 3, buzz at multiples of 5, and fizz buzz at multiples of 3 and 5. Okay. Everybody understood the question? Could you put it in the chat, please? I missed the question in the chat. Yeah, I've put it in the chat already. Oh, sorry. It went to someone personally. Okay. My bad, people. My bad. So I have to everyone, yes. So I'll put up the chat. Okay. So okay. Samya has completed already. Let's give some other people more time. No competitions here. Okay. Okay, so we have to create a loop that will iterate up to 100 while outputting fizz at multiples of 3, buzz at multiples of 5, and fizz buzz at multiples of 3 and 5. So generally what people do is either they will input those numbers along with the fizz buzz and fizz buzz statements, or what they will do is they will print every number from 1 to 100, and whenever there's a multiple of 3, instead of the number there will be fizz, instead when it is a multiple of 5 it will be buzz, if it's a multiple of 3 and 5 it will be fizz buzz. So there are 2 ways to do it, depending, because here we haven't specified what is it that we exactly need. Do we need the numbers only, or do we need a replacement? So you can do it both ways. There's no issue in that. So once you guys have done it, you can put it in the chat, and then randomly I can ask someone to just, share the screen and discuss. So for people who have done it, I hope the speed is not too much for you. Just because it was an introduction class, I'm going pretty fast with it. It's just give you that starter. Okay, once we get into like complicated concepts, we will go pretty strong. Do more examples. Today we didn't require such examples and stuff, so we will be doing coding during the session. Also, TAs or anybody interested, you can help me curate assignments as well, because it totally depends on your caliber and your choice of questions also. That will be easy for me also, because I won't have to put in a lot of work. So you can definitely help me with that. You guys can connect with me after the session, and maybe we can have a call. Those who are interested, we can have a call and we can discuss how to go forward with assignments. Or if anybody has already some questions in mind, you can put it in a doc, share it with the team, and we can work. Okay, so as of now, I see 5 people have done it in total, and we have 70 people. Okay, so we got to consider everyone. I hope everyone is doing it and not just listening to my talk. Okay. Anybody who would like to, okay, first, anybody in the crowd who is having issues figuring out how to, start writing the code, or they have not understood what the logic should be, or anything, any issues, you guys can put it in the chat. Do a direct message to me, it's fine, whatever works for you guys, but ask questions. You can't just sit with those doubts. It's not good if you are, in case you're having those doubts. Okay, so for those who have not got or not understood that what you're supposed to do, what you have to basically do is you have to run a for loop from 1 to 100. Okay, now what you can do is every number, okay, that is a multiple of 3, you can either print that number like 3 and fuzz, okay, 5 buzz, okay. If it's 15, that is a multiple of 3 and 5, it should be fizz buzz. So you can put the number and then put the fuzz buzz and fizz buzz and fizz buzz together, like parallelly to the number. Or what you can do is you can print 1 to 100 all the numbers, and instead of 3, 5 or 15 and similar multiples, you can replace those numbers with the given words, that is fizz buzz and fizz buzz together. So I hope it's clear to whoever sent me the text of not understanding what you're supposed to do. Is it clear now, or do you want like an explanation once more? Okay, good. So you will be presenting the screen once you're done with it. Okay. Guys, come on, let's do it quick. We have 3 more tough questions to go forward with. Okay, people who have done it already, I will put the other question. And I hope you guys are not using ChatGPT or any Google sources to copy the code, because I'll ask you to explain it. It went as separate. So those who have already done it, this is the second question where you have to write a JavaScript program to print a left triangle pattern as shown below. So it's like 1 star, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. So these pattern questions are the best questions to test your skills. Okay, I will give you a set of 10 or 15 such questions to strengthen your basics. These questions were the ones I struggled with most when I started learning, and it's a pretty good practice for you guys. Okay, so I have got almost 10 responses about the FizzBuzz question. What are the rest of the people doing? Ma'am, should we do programs only in JS? Since we are doing a JavaScript session, it is important that whatever question that I'm giving you right now should be done in JavaScript. First question done, first question done. Okay, good. So those who have done the first question, there's no point waiting for other people. You can go forward with the second question. And then once majority of the people are done, we will be discussing those two questions, and then we will be moving forward with the next. So I need maximum response from people because if it's so, I am noting down the people who have replied done. If it's the similar people again and again, there's no point. They already know stuffs. So there's no point if only they are learning, right? They can do it on their own. Done first question in Java. No, you're supposed to do the question in JavaScript. Assignments are not to test your basic programming skills, but it is to strengthen your skills in JavaScript, because you need to work and use a lot of JavaScript if you're learning Web3 development further. So for any project that you're taking from GitHub, or if you want to understand it, you will have to know JavaScript. So you should do these questions in JavaScript only. It's good that you have done it in Java or any other programming language, but we need the responses in JavaScript. Okay, so SSD. Have you completed the first question? No. Okay, what is it? What is the error that you're facing? See, guys, we don't expect you to know everything and do the questions right away. But in case you're getting stuck, it's a very simple question. In case you're getting stuck, you're supposed to ask questions. Okay, what is it that new to JavaScript? So seeing for syntax. Okay, you just have to use a for loop. I will show you how. Start a whiteboard. Whiteboard. Okay, can everyone see the whiteboard? Yes, okay. So we will be mostly doing, it's pretty difficult for me to write, but we will be doing mostly text and stuff. Okay. So people who are still stuck on the FizzBuzz question, see, once I'm saying that, once I specify the question that you have to iterate from 1 to 100, okay, or you have to talk about 1 to 100 numbers, you should know what should be the first thing that you have to do. Forget about the FizzBuzz question, okay? Just think that the first part of the question is we have to consider the first 100 numbers. Now, suppose the question was that you have to just print the first 100 numbers. What would you do? You would just put a condition, let I equals to 1, I less than equals to 100, I plus. Now this let is there because you want to declare I so that the compiler doesn't throw any error of them not knowing what I actually stands for. And then you can just do this and write whatever code you're supposed to write in the like the for loop, right? You need. Now, what you have to do is, we have been given a particular condition, and that condition is that for every 3 you have to print fizz, for every 5 you have to print buzz, and for every number that is a multiple of 3 and 5 you have to print fizz buzz, right? So then in that case, that is all that you have to specify the code with. Now, one thing that I missed out on while and nobody pointed it out was how are we gonna print whatever we are supposed to print. So in other languages there are various ways to print a statement. For we use printf, we use system.out.println and stuff. For JavaScript we use console.log. This is a lifesaver because any error that you're getting, or if you're not able to figure out where the bug actually stands in your code, if you do a console.log, you will be able to see that what should be the required response and what is it that you're getting. So then you can figure out where the bug is. And this is like a meme material where people say that, okay, finding bugs in a code by using console.log is not what programmers do. Okay, so yeah, that's it. That's all. And you have to specify a few conditions inside the loop in order to make it up and running and make it feasible for the condition that we have to specify. Okay. For people who are finding it difficult, just try printing the number and printing the respective word along with that number. Forget about printing all the numbers from 1 to 100. Just print those numbers that are asked. Suppose, I'll give you an example. Suppose the output that I am expecting right now from beginners is it should be 3, it should be fizz. Okay. In the next line, it should be 6. It should be it should be 5. It should be bus. Then it should be 6. It should be fizz. There's no difference when it comes to var and let. Okay, you can use anything. You can use var, you can use let. People used to use let, I think, earlier, but I'm more comfortable. Whatever comes in my mind while I'm writing the code, I use that. Be it var or be it let. Both are used for the variable conditions only. Okay, so now I see a lot of people doing. Anybody who would like to volunteer and explain the code to us? You have to, like, either I will specify you to like ask a random person, or you guys should do it on. Okay, so Jagriti volunteered. Okay, good. So you can just share your screen and explain everyone the code. So one person will be doing it for FizzBuzz question and the other person will be doing it for the pattern question.
Just a moment, I'm figuring out how to share my screen.
Okay, you will have a share screen button at the end of the screen, where you get those mute, raise hand, and raise hand is okay. Yeah,
Is it?
yeah, we can see. Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, so first of all, I have taken the for loop and I have initialized variable I to be value 1,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have given the condition I is less than equal, so that the loop will be created at 100 times, and after the iteration it would be increasing one value. Inside the for
Okay.
loop, I have used the if condition. The first if condition state that if the remainder of I, like I modulus, is equal to 0 and 5, that means if the number is multiple of 3 and 5 both, the console it would output fizz buzz in the output. If this if loop states false, then it would jump to the next if else condition, which state that the multiple of 3, if the number is multiple of 3, it would print fizz. If this is
Mm-hmm.
also false, it would jump to the next if else condition, which states if the number given is multiple of 5, it would print buzz, and it all, or if, and then if all three conditions are false, it would simply print the number. It would not print anything.
Okay, fine. Okay, so can you anybody who had any questions? Like, I wanted to know that why did you use equals to and not just equals to equals?
Can you repeat? You are not audible.
Okay, I was asking you that since the first condition that you've written, right, for 3 and 5. So why did you use a triple equals to symbol and not a double equals to?
Actually, I don't know about why it was not working when I used 2, and when I
Okay,
tried it 3 times, it worked.
okay.
I started working.
So,
I started working with a single equal to. Then I
mhm.
again worked it with a double, but it wasn't working. Then I used 3 times, but I actually don't know why it run at the third time.
Yeah. Okay. So, see, as a
Hello,
Bhumika,
hello,
hello. Yeah,
uh, hello. Ma'am, actually the triple equal to is a strict operator. It also follows, checks the data type also. Suppose
exactly.
if we give like one numerical and one as a character, in double equal to it
Mhm.
will show true, but in triple equal to it will show false. So
False.
it's a
Yeah.
strict operator. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's it. Like when we're talking, see, when we look into other languages, when a comparison has to be made, uh, double equals to is used. Okay. But when we're talking about JavaScript, there's a new thing that is the triple equals to. And like Sapnil already mentioned, it will also check for the data type. Okay, so it will check if both belong to the same data type, and then it will return the answer accordingly. Okay, so there will be times where once you use double equals to, the compiler might not show you the correct output. So in that case, you should know that whether the comparison is between done like is done between two entities of similar data type, or are they different data type and stuff. So that is one point to be considered. I think there was something else I wanted to ask, but I forgot. Anybody else who had any question while Jagriti was explaining it? Yeah, I got that question. Yeah, tell me. Like anybody else who noticed something in the code and has the curiosity?
Can I share my code? It's showing a little problem.
Yeah, sure.
So here, can you just, one second.
Yeah.
Can you just
You
tell
are
me why is it,
uh-huh.
why is it like really, 0 3 times here, maybe 3 2 times here?
Okay. So first you started with, okay, yes. So this was going to be my other question from Jagriti. You guys might have noticed that she had mentioned the third condition of it being a multiple of 3 and 5 in the first. Okay. And yeah, Anika answered the your question, Hashika, that the first mistake that you're doing is taking I equals to 0. The question was from 1 to 100 and you're
Okay.
using if and if. Okay, so it will see what how it works is it will check the if condition. Okay, if it is true, it will print that. If you're not specifying else or else if, and you're specifying another if, the block from has already reached line number 12 after checking the condition once. Okay, now the program sees that, oh, okay, there's one more if condition which looks different. So it will go to line number 13. Since with 0, even that is true, it will execute line 14. It will come to 15. Then again, it will come to 16 and it will see a new if condition rather than an else if or else condition, right? So it will execute all 3 ifs. That is why you're having every output thrice, like whenever you are getting that condition. And the condition of the 5 and the 3, okay, that is being multiple of 15, has to be on top. Why? Because since you're specifying that I modulus 5, okay, if you don't specify it on top, it will already be true for the condition I modulus 5 equals to 0, right? So that number will be replaced by buzz first and you won't actually come to fizz buzz. Okay, so that condition has, because it is a combination of both the third, the number 3 and number 5 condition, the particular condition that you've written at line 16 has to be on top. Okay,
Okay.
and then you will go forward with 3 and 5 and you have to use else, if and else in that. Okay, also you should write I modulus 5 equals to 0 and then you should specify and then I and like it is 2 ampersand and then I modulus 3 equals to 0 or triple equals to, or you can write I modulus 15 equals to 0.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good that people are asking questions. Anybody else who still has doubts or has not been able to understand it? See, there will be people who will ask their doubts during the session, and I know that there will be people who will be having similar doubts, but they will hesitate and they will wait for someone else to ask and then get their answers. That is wrong, because sometimes you might have a very different point of view about the code or a very different segment that you guys might not notice or the other person has not noticed. So it is important to come up with those questions. And I, as a mentor, don't even guarantee that I can answer all your questions during the session because I'm also a student. But I'll definitely try, or someone in the crowd who might know on that topic more than I do will be able to answer your questions. So it is important that you speak up and ask those questions to clear that hesitation as well and to know all the aspects that can, come up while you're writing a code. You can have like multiple errors. Like Jagriti encountered an error where double equals to was not working for her, right? There will be multiple people who will be facing the same issues, and because they've seen that Jagriti's code worked with triple equals to, they will put triple equals to and just put it out there. But if I wouldn't have questioned that why double equals to, why not triple, or why triple, why not double, you guys wouldn't actually look into that segment and answer or get your answer, right? So always ask questions, no matter how stupidly you think you're writing the code. Everyone has been a beginner once. So many people are still a beginner. You got to ask questions in order to, do that. Okay, Anika was raising hand. Do you want to ask a question, or do you want to present the second code's solution and explain it to the crowd?
That was to actually answer the question. That's all.
Oh,
But I can
okay.
present the second solution.
Okay, fine, fine. Okay, then you can share your screen. Okay, before that, I think I'll do a poll and I will ask people how many of them have done first question, how many have done the second question.
Ma'am, I actually have a doubt.
Yeah,
Why
go.
aren't we, ma'am, why aren't we using document right now? Document dot write.
Sorry.
Okay. For printing, we will be having a syntax, no, ma'am. Document dot write, document dot title, alert. Why aren't we using them and we are using the console dot log?
Uh, Maybe because that is what I've been using throughout. And it also saves like a lot of extra typing. And yeah, I think that is why. I mean, commonly I've been using console.log and it works fine for me. So that is what I've been doing as of now. And whatever comes with document and other stuff, I've only used it whenever I'm trying to do something mixing HTML and JavaScript, something of that.
Okay.
But if it works, yeah, you guys can use it. But console.log is pretty accessible and easy for me to do it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm doing the poll.
Hello.
Yeah. Somebody was asking a question. Which is I am almost done with the poll. You guys, okay, so I am doing this poll to get an idea how many of you have done either question 1, either question 2, or both. Okay.
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Ma'am, when we use console.log, we get the output in line by line, ma'am. How to get output in the same line, ma'am?
Okay. If you want it in the same line, I think you'll have to do a plus and give a space using double quotes. But why do you want to get it in the single line?
For the second program, we need to print
Mhm.
in that program in second for loop. When we use console.log, it is giving output line by line, ma'am. So I am asking.
Oh, for that, yeah, then in that case, you can either use the plus with the space, or you can use a comma as well. Or what you can do is you can put that particular thing that is to be printed inside a variable, and then you can do another print line, and then do like print the whole thing as console.log. In that case, you won't have an issue.
I also had this
Okay, ma'am.
issue and I Googled it. So what I got was like inside the second for loop, instead of console.log, you can use process.stdout.write and then put star in. So that will
Okay.
print these stars in same line. And then after that inner loop, you can put console.log and that /n for new line, and it will go on next line. So it will give the pattern. Yeah.
Okay. Adds a new use could append to the same string variable and then console.log it. Yes. Was anybody able to see the poll? Yeah, now it's live, so you can answer it fast before it runs off. Okay. 40 people have answered the poll. What are the rest 20 people doing? Come on, quick. Forty-seven out of 60. Guys, quick. Where are the rest 13 kids? What are they doing? Watching YouTube videos? Twitter? Instagram? Netflix? Prime? No? Okay, 9 more people to go for the poll. I will end it. So, anybody else who wants to answer? Okay, fine. So, 18 people have done question 1 only, and 33 people have done both. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, as I'm the co-host, so not be able to take the poll, but done both. Okay, fine, works. Ashika works. Okay, so yeah, someone was gonna present the screen and explain us the code for the second question. I think it was Anika who wanted to do it.
Yes, 1 second. My share is disabled.
Oh, is it? Let me check. Is okay. Okay, Kiran or Priyanka, whosoever, can you provide the sharing option to Anika?
I can simply put it on chat though.
Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah.
To take input from user through console, like we do in other languages. How to do that? Like, what is the keyword for that?
Sorry.
Like, if for this Fizzbuzz problem, you define 100 in it, and if for suppose I want user to define what till what number he wants, then how can we take input from the user through console? Is it possible?
I think it is. I can't remember.
I googled and it said prompt keyword is used, but
Yeah.
it didn't execute it when I used it.
Okay, so the issue with prompt is that you will have to put 2 extra lines of code in order to make that prompt thing work. Okay, so there's this thing that you have to install first when you put it in the terminal, make it workable, and then you will be able to use prompt in that case.
Achha, like what we need to install? Do you remember?
Wait, let me see. I had the thing in my notes. Okay, let me look into that, and I'll send that in the group after the class, because
Yeah,
I've
sure.
used it before. Yeah, once you use it with HTML and other stuff where you need that prompting, it takes some code, and only then it will work.
Okay, okay.
Hmm. Anybody who already knows the answer to whatever questions she asked right now regarding the prompt thing, you can obviously give an answer. Okay, yeah, so
For the question, usually you have a text box. So you do get element by ID and then you use
yeah,
whatever it gives back. So
Yeah, matlab, we can't enter the input through console, right? Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. We need to make an HTML page for that.
yes,
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
we'll be able to do it in
After
the
using
script.
the prompt, you have to use the parsing so that the string will be converted into the number.
Integer, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Even when you're using the alert or confirm, all of these methods, you will have to have an integration with HTML, and you'll have to either have that extension thing installed when you're doing it through the DOM.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Arika, could you explain us the code that you've done?
sure. So I took 10 as the dimensions. And initially what I was talking about, you declare an empty string that is row. Then you keep appending to it. Since the the boundary will be at the diagonal. So you'll run the loop j till I, whatever was set by the outer for loop, and you'll keep appending that number of stars. And then when you have the final string ready, you'll console log it, you'll introduce a new line, and then you again declare an empty string and do the same.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else who has doubt in the code that she has written? So I hope everyone has been able to do it. Okay, I think this also. Okay, so like she has done it, even you can do this. So you can initially itself, declare a given value instead of putting it in the conditions. And that is the same thing. Like you either like append it in the string and then add a new line to it and then do a console.log, because there's already a space with it. Sometimes it works pretty weird. Okay. So the next question is something very similar to what we have done right now. I think it's printing upside down. Pattern. Yes. So this time you have to print like a downward a triangle, and then you'll have to do a pyramid pattern. So these are the two questions. Why did the star didn't come? So this is the downward triangle. This is already, I think assignment is already mentioned in the sheet that has been shared with you. Okay. So these are the two, oh, sorry, the star went somewhere else. It's supposed to be like this. So these are the other two questions. So I don't think that printing the downward pattern would be like a pretty difficult task for you guys, since you have already done 1 to 5. But the pyramid one might be a little tricky. So we'll have like more such pattern questions or basic JavaScript program questions so that you get an idea about the syntaxes. We will be only doing questions, whatever we have discussed in today's class, like regarding that. For the next class, you already have the schedule where we will be covering strings, arrays, and functions. So it's like an endless topic. When you come to like functions, arrow functions, and all of that, it can be just ongoing. Okay. But what is more important is how we are actually trying to implement it, and then like do that stuff uh, as fast as possible in the most optimized way, because the whole point of writing code is how nicely do you actually optimize it in terms of space, in terms of time, and all of that stuff. So that is one thing that we definitely need to learn. Okay, talking about that, how many of you are aware about time complexity and space complexity for like in general? I'm not talking about JavaScript specifically because it's a pretty general topic for any programming language. So how many of you are aware? Okay, so I see similar names who have already been answering during today's session. I need responses from some new people. Okay, so most of the people have an idea about how time complexity and space complexity work, so that's pretty good because that is what you need to keep in mind when it comes to optimization. Okay. So once you guys are done with question number 3 and question number 4, you guys can put it in the chat. If you've just done 3 also, it's Garima, have you done both? Okay, no, 3. Okay. So, okay, yeah, the 3 should be, I am done with first, doing second. Okay, okay, cool. So, yeah, is there anyone who is still stuck at question number 1? Anybody who is still stuck at question number 1? Okay, so I think probably everyone has done it. So you should be able to do all these 4 questions. Third one is not gonna be that difficult. You just have to run the loop in an opposite manner. Okay. But, and we'll be only discussing the pyramid question hereafter. Maybe we can do both depending on the time constraint. Can we do it? Okay, so anybody who wants to like quickly explain third, it's not gonna take like much time. Is everyone done with the second question? See, once you're able to do question number 2, doing third is pretty easy. Doing fourth might take a bit of your time, but third will be easy if you're. Done with third. Okay. Anybody who wants to explain third, you can put the code in the chat, and then you can just unmute yourself and explain. Okay.
Ma'am, first I have taken I is equals to 5 because we are printing it in reverse order from 5 to 1. And since I need to print in side by side, I have taken an empty string. And if we observed that for the first line, since we are considering I equals to 5, we need 5 stars. So I'm iterating from 1 to 5 and I am appending it to the string. And at last I am printing that.
Console.log, yes. So that is what I was saying. For the previous question, you would supposed to do it in a manner like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? Here you have to do the opposite since you're printing it in the downward manner. So the loop will run opposite. Initially, it was running from 1 to 5. Now it will run to from 5 to 1. So in 5 plus plus, there will be a I minus minus that will help decrement. The rest of the stuff stays the same. So you still need an empty string in order to append the stars. The J loop will again run from 1 to whatever I value that you are using. Since it's 5 for the first condition, J will go as J equals to 1. That condition is true. So 1 star will be appended to the empty string. Okay. Then J will increment and J will become 2. So 2 is still less than equals to 5. So again, another star will increment. So it will run 5 times and then the condition will go false. So it will print console.s. Then it will go back to I equals to 4, and then similar loop running will happen in iteration, and it will keep printing in console.log man. So I don't think a lot of people should have trouble with this if you have done question number 2 and understood it properly. People who are ultimate beginners, you should always dry run your code. Okay, now what does dry run means? So you should always have a pen and paper to see that for this value of I, what is the value of J that you're using and what is the output that you're getting in the end. So once you're able to see it for every value of I and J, you will automatically see where your code was getting stuck or where you were having errors. Okay, so a dry run is very, very important. That's how your basics get strong. Anybody who has been done with question number 4? Also, is everyone running the code in your terminal or are you using online compilers? Online compiler. So once you start doing it in your Visual Studio Code through terminal, you should know that you will have to, once you create the JavaScript file, suppose as class1.js, the .js extension will specify that you're using a JavaScript file. Okay, and in order to run that file in your terminal, you'll have to use node and then the JavaScript file name. In case you don't have node, you have to install that, and that is how it will run in your terminal. Done with fourth. Okay. Okay, so Tejasvi has shared the code for the fourth one. So Tejasvi, can you please explain the code to us?
Ma'am, first
Mm-hmm.
I initialize the variable with an empty string, and then
Okay.
we are printing row total number of rows minus current row of number of times of spaces, and then we are printing odd number of stars in each line, that is
Mm-hmm.
2 times of I plus 1. If at all I is
Mm-hmm.
equals to 1, it will print one star each time after the number of spaces. If at all I is equals to 2, it will print 3 number of stars after the total number of rows minus ith spaces. And then we are printing total row at each line.
Okay.
And loop will iterate till five rows.
Till 5 rows. Okay. So your code was very good. Okay. So can you tell me the observations that you had, that you came up with, that okay, for this particular row we have these many spaces, this is how the pattern should go in order to print.
Ma'am, the observations are like we have the total number of spaces in every line is 5 minus I times. That is for each row 5 minus. Suppose I is equals to 1, 5 minus 1 times. That is 4 spaces in the first line. And then there is 1 star. So I took odd number 2 times of I plus 1. There are odd number of stars in each line for each row.
Okay.
So these are the two observations, ma'am. So I merged both.
Yeah, good. Okay. So as you guys can see for the pattern, wait, I'll print it again. I think this was it. Okay. So if you actually see, you will realize that as she mentioned, that we are already printing odd numbers in odd numbers of stars, and for every row we are having 5 minus 1 number of spaces. Okay. So in that way, we will be moving forward. I think someone else has specified. Yeah. So if you see Jyotsna's code, okay. Jyotsna, would you like to explain yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So here I took 3 variables, rows, spaces, and stars. In rows, I specified as 5. In spaces, initially the spaces will be 4. At first, the first for loop, that one for the rows will be run, and after that for the second for loop, every time the spaces will be get decremented by number of rows. That is, for example, if we take for the first one I is equals to 1, then the spaces would be 4, and when I becomes 2, the spaces might become like here I took at first it would be 4 minus 2, it would be 2 for the second one. So they'll be going like that continuously. So in the first for loop, I took a null string. In second for loop, in order to print the space, I took same, I'm appending it to the row only. In third for loop, I'm printing the star. And here we can also use the print statement in order to print the stars. And here I had decremented the spaces as we are printing out the odd number of stars. That's why I incremented with 2, ma'am.
Okay. Jyotsna, I feel that instead of, okay, so you have taken it from 0. The K value that you're taking, it should ideally be 2 into I minus 1. because that is how things are working. So the number of spaces in a row are n minus 1 depending on what you're taking as n. Okay, if you're taking it as 5, it will go like that. And the number of stars in a row should be 2 asterisk I minus 1. It might work this way also. Let me run it and check. Yeah, for everyone it's working that way, right? So let me check with 2 into I plus 1. So anybody who still has like doubts on how things are working, so you got to anytime when you're trying to find some similarity or trying to do a pattern, you got to understand how the pattern is working. Okay. Oh, it's working fine. Okay, even for 2 into I plus 1, it will work fine. So if you look at the first loop, okay, so you are initializing I with a value of 0, and then the condition is that I will be less than 5. So it will run for 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's running 5 times already. These people have taken an empty string. It can be of any name, rows, spaces, stars, line, whatever, okay, or string, anything. So you take an empty string, and inside that for loop, you will write another for loop. That for loop will run from j equals to 1 to j less than 5 minus I. So when j is 1, okay, and I in that case is 0, so it will run for 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that number of stars will be, no, sorry, spaces will be appended. Also, one pointer here, whatever you guys are using the variable for, it is always advised to use variable names that can tell any person that this is what you're trying to do. Like suppose Soumya has written the code, okay? So the last code that she has sent, it's correct, okay? I is running from 1 to 5, j is running from 1 to 5 minus 1. J will, the loop condition is again given from 2 into I minus 1. But how do we know that what this S is for? Okay, if you see Jyotsna's code, if you go back in the chat, you will see that she has declared variables as rows, spaces, and stars. So in that way, once you're using the row variable, you know that this particular variable is doing everything that is associated with row. Now, once you're using j equals to 1 and j less than equals to spaces, you know that in that particular code, the number of spaces is being used or being monitored by the spaces variable name, right? So in that case, even if you look at the code after 6 months, you will know what the code is trying to do. If you're using SU, if you're using line, if you're using string, you will forget what is doing what, and in that case it will take a lot of time for you to figure out that okay, this is what my code was doing. As of now, because you're doing it in real time, you know that okay, this is why I took the variable. But it is important to use conventional variable names to, or in order to understand how things are working. Okay. And for printing the stars, we're taking another. Now, either you can take j equals to 1, or you can take another variable k, and then you will run it for the stars. And every time you have to print it, you will append it with the row string that you have used, and then you will print it. Once you have printed the row, you have to decrement the value of spaces, because every time you go to a next line, the number of spaces are being decreased. Now, either you can do a stars plus equals to 2, because that is how it's incrementing. It's going like 1, 3, 5, and 9. Or either you can use a value 2 into I minus 1. In fact, for I plus 1 also it's working. So there's no particular way. In order to do a code, you just have to make things work, whatever way you're writing the code. Okay, so how many of you have done both the questions? Okay. Let's get an idea of how many we have done. both the questions, and I think that then we can wrap up for today. If there's anything that you guys want to discuss or any suggestions regarding this, like more topics, since it's the first class, obviously it was gonna be a introductory and more of to see how things go for you guys, and then we can set the pace accordingly. But if there's any suggestions, any feedbacks in that matter, if there's any particular thing that you would want to see or a particular type of assignment that you would want to do, or you guys are, where will the assignments be shared? Okay, so I was seeing for 2, 3 options. GitHub Classroom was one of it. Even Google Classroom is there, but then we'll have to put you guys into that Google Classroom. We might share the link and put the assignments. That's the most convenient way to go because even the evaluation is pretty easy, but we have not figured out on that one. So for the time being, maybe I'll just put it in the group and see, and like you guys can attempt it. But I think Google Classroom or GitHub Classroom is good because even GitHub Classroom is integrating Google Classroom or Moodle, so anything can go. So I hope that everyone is gonna finish the 4 questions. I will give you like more programming based questions itself. I don't want to put in a lot of assignment just for the first class because there are other classes that will have like a lot more work. But if anybody has to share anything, you guys can talk. Now the stage is yours.
Firstly, what a force you are. I was taking notes. I've almost filled half my book, and I'm learning about the operators also. And the semicolons I will not miss. But this is so good. I'm very happy with the girls also participating. We are taking notes, guys. Like we know who is participating. You'll be eligible for more perks and rewards. So please treat yourself as Sneha's right hand. Okay, like you. Sneha is not like a trainer. She's basically the fuel, the catalyst here. All of us need to do our part. Okay, so kudos, Sneha. And yeah, like go ahead. Love the participation so far, but let's keep it to everyone. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would love to have like more participation. It's the first day. Obviously, people are excited, but I want this enthusiasm till the end of the session. The number shouldn't really decrease. And yeah, even the students, if you guys have anything to say, you guys can continue. Feedbacks are most welcome. I have never taught such a huge crowd. Offline, yes. Online, no. So it's a pretty difficult when you're trying to teach people how to code and stuff in an online platform. So yeah, you guys are most welcome with feedbacks. It will help me as well to improvise.
I wanted to say one thing here. Like I've been coding in JavaScript since few months. I usually do React. I'm a front-end dev, but I don't know basics of JavaScript. I just realized today. I don't know anything about it. So I learned quite a lot in this class. Though I've done these questions in different languages, but it was way more difficult in doing it in JavaScript. So yeah, I learned it.
Okay.
Thank you. Nice class it was.
Thank you so much. Means a lot.
Will really love this, Neha. Oh God, I mean, like the participation, is also insane. Thanks, guys. And I think this is the best class to be, right? It is highly interactive, and you guys learn a lot of topics. And I think let me use the word demystifying, right? And I think Sneha demystified a lot of topics, and made it much more easier for you. A lot more to come. Again, I think I keep repeating, don't give up, don't drop out. This is going to be very, very exciting cohort actually for you. We're also talking with a lot of Web3 companies, both on the protocols and the companies, for you to give assignments and internships, etc. and all, right? So there's like lot more ahead in the next 8 weeks for you guys. PPT or okay, someone wants PPT or screen sharing, so
Yeah, yeah. So for the next classes, yeah, we are next classes we will be doing screen sharing because I'll be showing you the code on Visual Studio and see how it goes. Because it was an introductory class, uh, uh, I like didn't do it, but yeah, we'll definitely keep that in mind. We can do PPT so that we can, have something to refer and all of that stuff.
cool, awesome. Yeah. So let me come to a couple of logistic stuff. So there has been like a lot of new folks that joined. Just ensure that first of all you're part of that WhatsApp group. I posted the link in the chat. If you have any questions, let us know. So Fauzia and I are the point of contacts for you if you have any questions with regards to this. And the second thing is the Notion doc, that link that I shared, please bookmark that link, that is your go-to, place for everything. Also this recording, we will actually post it as soon as we download it. We're not editing and making it look nicer, etc. Now, so we'll just post as it is for now. So that recording should be available for you, immediately, and you will receive a note from Fauzia on the group once the recording is up and running, right? So you can go to the Notion doc and then watch the recording at your own pace if you want to, get clarified on any other specific, topics there. And two more couple things, with regards to the feedback. If you have any feedback, please text me or Priyanka or Fauzia. We don't want to get into the formal, feedback loops, at this point of time. If you have any specific, feedback, also please let Sneha know. She's, completely open. The goal for us is actually to improvise it and make it better for you now day by day. If you're seeing any issues with any of our systems, processes, and if you're getting stuck, or if we are not able to communicate on a certain things, please let us know. We are here to correct ourselves and then make improvements each and every day, right? We are here to help you. So give us as much feedback as possible. We're completely open to that. We're not your professors are engineering college, where we will be deducting marks in an internal if you, start complaining. So, like we are, we are here for you, right? So we're putting in a lot of hard work into this. So please give as much feedback as possible. And I think there are no, I think Sneha mentioned about the questions for today. There are no assignments or other stuff for until the next class, right, Sneha?
Yeah, no. If I come across something or if I see anything interesting after the session, I'll put it in the group for these guys to do. As of now, no.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, and one more logistic thing. So once you're part of the WhatsApp group, just ensure you fill the form that we shared, that Jose has shared with you. That has the list of Discord, GitHub, LinkedIn profile, so that will help us, in also mapping you to the certain profiles at the end of the cohort, to the internships, etc. and all. So what we will do is starting tomorrow we'll actually add you to the Discord channel. It's a private channel. It's a Web3 Learn private channel exclusively for 100 girls. We'll start adding you there, and we will actually make Discord as a channel of communication and to for the discussion points or for any doubts, solving, etc. and all. The only primary reason is Web3 is mostly Discord and Telegram. So we'll start sticking to Discord to start with. I think two channels will become a bit of an overload for everyone to start with. Okay. Any questions? Also let us know. WhatsApp will be used as a channel of communication, right? That okay, hey, this has been uploaded, the classes are starting. But don't restrict yourself. If you have any specific questions, please put it in the WhatsApp group as well. Yeah. Would we be making a project by the end of the fellowship? Yes. So what we will be doing, I think we wanted to take it slow, but I think, yeah, I love that enthusiasm. By end of week 2, so consider this as week 1, right? We started on 8th orientation. So this is the first class. By end of week 2, that is officially May 20th. So the week of May 22nd is where we will actually start forming the teams for you. And we will start getting into the project mode. Okay. We're not expecting you to actually deliver the project ASAP, but there is a lot of pre-work that needs to be done in terms of forming the teams, defining the problem statements, and ensuring that, okay, hey, there is a certain process that you have to follow to complete, the project. So we'll start, doing the prepping legwork in the week of May 22nd. And from the week of May 29th, you can actually start experimenting. You can, meet in groups, and this will be team of 4 to 5. You can actually set up your own meetings, brainstorm how to solve that particular project, UI, UX, coding, etc. and all. And we will help you to complete the project. Okay. What we are aiming to do at this point of time is, assign at least one mentor to each project team. These are like, experts who have been already there in the Web3 space for you to help and navigate through the entire process. And also, Sneha will be obviously there, but 25 projects is a lot, right? 20 to 25 are like a lot of projects, that we are looking at. We will be assigning, a specific mentor to your project, and that mentor will be working with you very closely, in guiding and towards the completion of the project. So Sneha and Priyanka and myself and Fauzia, we will be, helping you coordinate, the pieces, helping you on the moving parts at a, top level. Of course, Sneha will have much more, hands-on stuff. So does that answer the question? Will we be getting the certificate? Okay. I don't know. We are talking about Web3 and we are asking for certificate. Yeah, why don't we create some NFTs? But we will create AI-generated NFTs and we'll give it to you. If you want a certificate, we can give a certificate. It's not a big deal at all, but don't worry about that part.
Absolutely. Kiran, actually, we are in talk. There are a lot of partners that have come forward, the educational NFT partners. Omniflix, the CEO of Omniflix, right, Abhishek Sisla, wants to give out educational NFTs to all the girls, and their smart contract enabled certificate also that we are in talks with. So we'll keep you posted on that. Thanks, Kiran.
Okay, there's one thing that I wanted to add. So since we guys, we all of us are gonna be, learning for the next 6 to 8 weeks, it would be very, very good if you guys start contributing on GitHub from day 1 itself. Okay, so it's gonna be like, you can just do, you've seen people doing 100 days of code or 30 days of code, stuff like that, right? So you can just do like 50 days of code because it's around 6 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever, till the time we finish this cohort. So whatever you're doing during the cohort, be it a basic code pattern programming that you have done, you can just push it to GitHub, because that will show people that you've been consistent once you have finished the cohort. Secondly, it will help you build a habit to code. Okay, because see, getting out of a habit is pretty easy. I have been doing college and my job, and I don't know how long it has been since I actually worked my hands-on on a personal project or so. So I know how difficult it is. So in fact, since I'm starting to teach you guys, even I am also gonna go get started with my 50 days or 100 days of code, so that even my portfolio stays green. Okay, so that is one thing that I would expect every one of you to do. And similarly, you can either write threads that I've already mentioned. Okay, so since today was a pretty beginner class, right, you can still write threads about it. You can still write threads about what are data types in JavaScript, what are the 2 different types, or what are loops in JavaScript, what is while loop, do while, anything. So that will enhance your Twitter or community presence as well. That gives you a lot of opportunities. So I think it is pretty important for you guys to even do such stuffs. Yeah, that's it. And I'm open to a lot of appreciation always. So you guys can give me a lot of feedback.
Let's give a couple of shout outs for Sneha on Twitter. I mean keep start working on the Twitter threads. Might be we can do one thing, I can take might be a 30 or 45-minute session on Saturday or Sunday. On how to write Twitter threads, and also we'll go through the Discord, GitHub, and LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn is also very important actually.
Yeah, correct.
Twitter is more Web3 oriented, but at the end of the day, writing that right. To be frank, all the business I have made so far in my life is only through LinkedIn. More than happy to take a session on that. Okay. Start getting into that groove. That is very important. Even if miss one or two, that's totally fine. But once get into the groove, it becomes very easy. Okay. On that note, any last questions? One or two? Again, you all should have received the email calendar invites from Fauzia. So the next class will be on Friday at the same time, 7 o'clock.
Okay,
So,
one thing.
Sure.
There might be a change in the Friday schedule because I have to travel for the Herdao launch to Chennai, and all the buses are during 7 to 9 only. So either we can do early if people are flexible, or we can do on Saturday, like the same time stuff. Like whatever works. We can do it tomorrow also.
yeah, either works actually. So how about might be Saturday 4 to 6, does it work?
Saturday, no, 4 to 6, I'll be pretty occupied in the event itself.
Okay, so you're attending anyway. Okay, so there's a lot of voting for Saturday. So then we'll move that for Saturday same time then, 7 to 9.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Okay, so we'll move the Friday class to Saturday. 7 to 9. So you don't worry anything. Fauzia will change the calendar invite to reflect your calendar.
Saturday.
Okay? Awesome. Okay. Cool. On that note, thanks, guys. I think this is epic.
Thank you,
Stella. Yeah, we have on channels of communication open. Don't stress. I think take it very light, easy for for the first few days, and then I think we will meet everyone on Saturday then. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Neha. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening. Bye.
Yeah. Good night, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.